The purpose of the Flick Reedy Education Enterprises is to promote individual moral responsibility through education. How do we do this? We study and discuss the interrelationships of history, philosophy, social studies, and economics. We do not dictate. We do not make statements as to what we think you should or should not do. We do not unduly burden this program with footnotes, references, or complete documentation. However, we do give sufficient data to bring this discussion into proper focus. We invite you to delve further into the necessary historical and statistical data to develop a deeper understanding of truth and a keener sense of individual moral responsibility.
In the previous part, we talked about some things that you could do to fulfill more completely your citizenship responsibilities. They included registering and voting in all elections for which you were eligible, particularly in the primaries. It included becoming better and better informed on issues and candidates, and the relationship between your philosophy, ideas, and thoughts, and the specific legislation being considered in the Congress and state and local legislatures. It included influencing others, that is, multiplying yourself manyfold through other people. We talked about a method called paper bullets. No list of citizenship responsibilities would be complete without including participation in the activities of the political party of your choice. Oh, I see a frown on your face. You're saying to yourself, I don't want to get mixed up in politics. Consider for a moment the words of Charles Edison, former governor of New Jersey, who said,
"Some people put themselves above politics, saying politics is dirty, or I have no patience with politics. In the name of all that's American, how can any good citizen feel superior to politics? We achieved our independence by politics. We freed the slaves by politics. Our businesses flourish or wither by politics."
Politics is not a dirty business. There may be some in politics who are not all that we would want them to be, but the only way those people have risen to power in political affairs is by the inactivity of many citizens. The Greek philosopher Plato said this,
"The price that good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men."
Teddy Roosevelt put it this way,
"If decent people do not like the way politicians behave, they should either get into politics or refrain from complaining about anything the politicians do."
I don't know how you might define the word politics, but Webster's dictionary says that politics is the art or science of government. There's nothing dirty about that kind of definition. Let's take a moment and look at the structure of politics and government from the very top right on down to your precinct or township. Notice how the national structure rests on the state structure, and the state structure on the county structure, and the county structure on the precinct or township structure. And what is the key base block to the entire structure? That's right. It is the individual citizen. That's you and I, and about 200 million others of us. What happens if the individual citizen does not act within his political structure at the precinct level? Why, of course, the whole structure gets out of balance and threatens to tumble, and you and I and our whole country can tumble right along with it. Consider how government may break down because of failure of active participation at the grassroots level. A healthy tree has its roots buried deep in the earth which nourishes it. As long as the root system functions properly, the tree flourishes and bears fruit. The fruits of the tree of American government are the individual freedoms of speech, religion, assembly, press, to work, to dream, to build, to compete. If a deadly disease strikes the root system of this tree, the precious fruit will fall, and the tree will wither and die. For American constitutional liberty, there is no deadlier disease that can attack the root system than the apathy of the people to whom these blood-bought freedoms were entrusted. The individual's active participation, or his non-participation, in politics is the factor that determines whether man will control government and remain free, or whether government will control man and enslave him. So if you are not already active in politics in the party of your choice, the place to start is at the precinct or township level. Isn't it reasonable to assume that you will never have any influence at the county, state, or national level unless and until you have put in your apprenticeship at the precinct or township level, no matter how good and valuable your ideas and intentions may be? Again, let me give you a piece of advice I learned the hard way. When you have decided to become politically active in the party of your choice at the precinct or township level, don't walk in as though you are the knight in shining armor for the party and begin to tell them how things should be done. For better or worse, according to who is talking, these local party folks have been conducting the affairs of their party for a long time. They have worn out shoe leather ringing doorbells, passing out literature. They've attended many, many meetings until far into the night. They've made, in many instances, personal sacrifices. They may have received some personal benefits. In any event, it is they who have kept the party going. I think you can understand that they might take a dim view of your walking in and trying to take over when you haven't ever had your feet wet. Take it slow. Take it easy. Make yourself useful by giving what help you can with what they are trying to do. Perhaps later you can begin to suggest some ideas after you've won their trust, confidence, and respect. Is this any different than any other organization you've ever known? There are many, many jobs to be done. Don't feel you must announce your candidacy for office right away. They will have charts for you to study so that you can become more familiar with the various boundary lines of the political districts. You might study the election laws governing the area. There are usually mailings to be made, envelopes to be addressed, stamps to be pasted on envelopes, envelopes to be stuffed. There may come a time when you will feel that your efforts within your party are all to no avail. They just won't listen to you. They do things, support candidates that you object to. The thought comes to you,
the heck with all this. I'll start or join another party.
There must have been a number of reasons for you to have become a part of your original party. So you feel that you can't join the other major party. Besides, they might take your switch with a certain amount of doubt. So perhaps you think to yourself,
how about that third party I heard about? Maybe they'll appreciate me more.
I've known people who feel strongly that a third party is the only answer to the country's problems. I've known them to be sincere, dedicated people. Let's see what history can tell us about more than two major political parties. While in the United States there have been other political parties with us almost all the time, none of them have ever come very close to winning a national election. From time to time, here and there, they may have won a local election, perhaps even a state office or two. But they have never lasted very long, and to a great extent their hard work, money, and efforts went down the drain. Usually they have been a party with a specific issue or interest to them personally, or to a section of the country or their occupation. They never seem to have captured the interest or support of a significant portion of all the states. A political party organization with country-wide representation, candidates, workers, and money is a very large and difficult thing to put together and keep going. It should not be entertained lightly. How about the other countries with more than two major political parties? In most instances, these countries have not been characterized by stable government. Seldom has any one party had a clear working majority within those governments. You may be familiar with Italy and France in this century as examples of such instability. With no one party having a majority in the government, legislation and administration is usually a series of compromises with lesser parties to achieve a working majority. These temporary alliances between two or more minority parties are fragile. History shows these temporary alliances tend to break down and topple the government, after which they repeat the same thing over and over again. There's an old adage that says,
"The first duty of a public official is to be re-elected."
This is based on hard realities, and its significance is easily misinterpreted. Legislators, by and large, act simply on the basis of pleasing a majority of their constituents in order to be re-elected. For the most part, the elected officials are very good at determining what a majority of their people want. Active participation in a political party and campaign is an American privilege and duty, since the basic philosophy and attitudes of the American people ultimately determine the solutions to governmental questions such as, what is the proper dividing line between governmental and private action? What should be the relationship between the local, state, and national governments? What forms of taxation will permit the best economic growth? Jean Rousseau, the French writer of the 18th century, said,
"Good laws lead to the making of better ones. Bad ones bring about worse. As soon as any says of the affairs of state, 'What does it matter to me?' then that state may be given up for lost."
How often must a citizen exercise his political responsibility under freedom? Ed Flynn, a long-time Democratic political leader, put it this way:
"It would be a fine thing if all the office holders felt under obligation to all types of citizens, and hence based their judgments on the rule of the greatest long-term good for the greatest number. But we will never reach that utopia unless or until all citizens resolve to work 365 days a year at being citizens."
There are many other areas of the political government function where citizens can be helpful. Often there is a need for people to serve on the library board. The school board often lacks the attention it deserves. What is more appropriate than for the business community to assemble information and put it in a form which is useful and meaningful to the legislators? This could include surveys, research, financial, actuarial, or engineering information. Certainly every citizen can occasionally write a short and to-the-point letter to his or her legislator, expressing his or her point of view on pending legislation. Such letters should tell simply how you feel about the legislation and why you feel that way. The letter should be respectful, never threatening or abusive. A great many people are moved to write only when they are displeased with the way their legislator voted on an issue. Too few letters are written congratulating legislators when they vote the way a person had wanted them to vote. Project yourself into the political arena. Create a climate in that arena. Let the office holders know that you are convinced that the worth of the individual must be upheld. Let them know that you, the citizen of the 20th century, are a worthy descendant of the founding fathers, a creation of God, and not a pawn in the game of politics. Make every member of government on every level realize by the impact of your daily life, your attitudes, your actions, that man must be free. Make your political deeds correspond to your political preachments. Make your political action coincide with your political ideas and philosophy. Abraham Lincoln said,
"To sin by silence when they should protest makes cowards of men."
Let your voice be heard. Let your influence be felt. It's your country. It's your freedom. Your children's, your grandchildren's. Whether acting as a formal representative of your own political party or not, nothing prevents you from visiting with the friends and neighbors around you. Certainly everyone from the local precinct captain or township committeeman to the legislators will listen more attentively where a block of votes are concerned. In closing, we should consider a quotation from a man who lived and died thousands of miles from the United States. There is an inscription on a government building in New Delhi, India, by Mahatma Gandhi, which reads,
"Liberty will not descend to a people. A people must raise themselves to liberty. It is a blessing that must be earned before it is enjoyed.